last night we started a little bit to acknowledge our longing in various forms. We all have different words that we put to it. But essentially it is that call home, that cry from myself to myself, to wake up to who I am, to live the openness, the freedom, the truth, the love, the peace that I am. And our lives, our personal lives, can be chaotic, full of ups and downs, good times, bad times, experiences that we really enjoy and like a lot, and experiences that we'd like to push away and get rid of as soon as possible. Experiences that are pleasant and comfortable, and experiences that are very painful, uncomfortable, disturbing. And throughout that whole roller coaster of life, there is a knowing of all of it. There is a seeing, an awareness of it all. Now, usually on the spiritual path, we are trying to get or become that awareness. I'll call it awareness for now. I may change the words. Sometimes I like to call it I, or life itself. Anyway, so usually on the spiritual path, we're trying to get that, or become that, do that. And that's a fundamental misunderstanding. But it's understandable that we misunderstand that, because in every other area of our lives, of being human, it seems that we can become something or someone, we can achieve something. But with this, and in fact also with the rest, but it's less obvious, this cannot be done. It cannot be done or achieved because it is already who you are. And for the mind, for the thinking, this is incredibly frustrating, because you don't always experience the peace and the love and the oneness that you would like to experience. You're not always super aware. So, the misunderstanding is that we assume that this awareness or this seeing is an experience. That's the basic misunderstanding. But we assume that it is some kind of experience. Even if we understand that it's not about some really big, major experiences, we're still looking for a subtle experience. And it's not even a subtle experience. And this can get really sneaky as we are on a spiritual path for a long time, practicing different things. These different practices and teachings, books, YouTube, whatever, they do seem to generate different experiences. Even coming here, we have, a very nice experience sitting here together. In the silence, perhaps you start to feel a sense of peace. Being away from your regular life, also a sense of peace. Now, I'm not saying that those experiences are worthless. They are beautiful and they're here to enjoy. Not just to enjoy, but also to acknowledge the insights and the gifts in those experiences. But when we have the assumption that these experiences should last always, that's where we get in trouble. When we assume that uncomfortable or busy, noisy experiences shouldn't be the case, and I should always feel at peace, we're going to struggle with that one in our human lives. Because as you may have noticed, life keeps changing, and there are ups and downs. That's just how it is, whether we like it or not. So we can fight that. We can fight the way it is. We can try to change that. We can pretend that it's not like that. We can be in some kind of delusion that it's not like that. But we will struggle even more when we're fighting or we're pretending, somehow deluded, because life shows us again and again that things change and they keep changing. So part of waking up is waking up to the fact that everything changes, that there is no permanent experience that you can possibly hold on to. Everything is changing. Everything without exception. Everything. There is nothing that stays the same in this play of experience. Not even the most subtle experiences stay the same. On all experiential levels, everything is changing. Some things change quickly, some things take more time, apparently. And yet, despite all of the change, there is the awareness of that change, or the awareness of whatever experience is here. That awareness doesn't change. But that awareness is not an experience. It's outside of the play of experience. So everything within the play of experience changes, but the awareness of whatever is experienced doesn't change. The difficulty for thought with that is that thought can't reach back to that awareness. It can't grasp that, because thought is within the play of experience. Thought tries to reach beyond the play of experience, and all it can reach is another experience. It can have a commentary about my experience. It can even say, oh, I'm so aware. But still there is awareness of that thought. So no matter how many beautiful spiritual states you experience, none of those ever reach the awareness that you are, because there is always awareness of those states. So actually, we're not here to achieve that awareness, as much as maybe you think that's what you've come here for, because that awareness is already here. You are already aware of what's happening in your experience. It's already the case. It's already the most simple, the most obvious. You're already aware of everything that happens. But you may say, well, yeah, but I'm not always aware that I'm aware. But the one that might be aware that you're aware is thought. And thought can't be aware that you're aware. It's got nothing to do with thought. Thought is just a commentary. Thought says, I'm aware. Well, that's very nice. Thank you, thought. You know, that kind of you to give that commentary. And it's true. Yes, I am aware. But still, when it's said by thought, it doesn't mean very much. It's not for thought to know this awareness, because thought is within the play of experience. So then how is it known? And what's the point of it? Right? Because if it doesn't affect your experience, what's the point? If it doesn't give you a nice experience, if it doesn't change your life and make everything perfect, well, what's the point of this silly awareness? Well, it doesn't change anything necessarily, although we come here to consciously acknowledge it. So it's always here, and yet when we are so mesmerized by the experience and the belief that I am experiencing, I am living my personal life, this is all about me, I'm in control, and when we're so mesmerized by that belief, by that assumption, then we take ourselves very seriously. We are under the illusion that life is in our control, and we're often disappointed by that. We're often struggling with the nature of life, and that ends up being very uncomfortable and painful. We are generally trying to swim upstream when actually life is moving in this way, and we're struggling to make it my way. Right? So in acknowledging that actually my true identity is not this separate me, but in fact that awareness of it all, we acknowledge the freedom that is already here. So we stop trying to become free, and we don't necessarily stop, but we see that there's no point or no need to keep trying to be free, because we acknowledge that I'm already that freedom. So it's a shift in identity. And in that shifting, there may be experiences that are experienced. Many people talk about having amazing awakening experiences, or even very painful and uncomfortable awakening experiences, but whatever they are, they're temporary experiences, as we were just saying, like all experience. So the experience of taking this me very seriously is that you usually are feeling very contracted, focused on my story, my problems, my issues, and longing for one day when I will be free, when my life will be perfect according to this or that. So it's all, you live in a kind of little contracted bubble of me. Assuming that you are inside this body, looking out of these eyes, and that whoever or whatever you come across in your experience is outside of me. So then there's a constant negotiation or manipulation, trying to manipulate the outside to suit me. And all of this is a struggle and a lot of effort. And most people are living like that, actually. Most people in the world are living like that, even though the awareness that they all are is the same. Aware of me taking myself seriously. But that awareness doesn't care. That awareness doesn't need me to not take myself seriously, or to wake up, doesn't need anything. It's just aware. But in the personal experience, it's painful. And I hear from you from last night, and the general sense is that you've come here because perhaps in your experience there's been some suffering, longing to be free out of this contracted me state. But perhaps you've had a sense of that freedom that is beyond that me state, but you can't grasp it. You may have temporary experiences where that contraction opens up, but then it can close back again. And it might do this quite a bit, opening and closing. And what tends to happen on the spiritual path is that when there is an opening, a thought comes in saying, that's it, I want more of that. And then of course there's a closing. Thought says, no, I don't want that. I must try to find the opening again. And this struggle even is very painful. Chasing experiences of opening, of freedom. So what we're exploring here is that, acknowledging that awareness consciously, meaning that acknowledging that thought cannot know this. It's not for thought to acknowledge this consciously. It's actually for thought to say, I can't do this. I can't get this. It's not up to me. I'm not capable of reaching back far enough to that awareness. I'm just a tool. I'm a servant for living in this world as a human. And I'm very useful, but I'm not that one to know ultimate truth, that awareness. So when thought really acknowledges that I can't know, I can't do this. Perhaps for some of you have already realized this, and it can be very disappointing, disillusioning. It can feel quite depressing even to realize that you can't get this, you can't become this. You can really start to feel very hopeless, like perhaps you feel very lost. Because if thought can't get this, then how? And what? And I would say this is a wonderful state to be in. And I know it's not comfortable or easy, but it's a doorway to the reality. It's true that you can't get this thought. Who you have believed yourself to be, as that me, that contracted me, can't become this. And thought needs to lose hope, because it's the hope that one day I'll get this that causes all the trouble. So when thought loses hope, thought at first goes down into the depths of hell and says, I'll never get this, and there's something wrong with me. And okay, you have to go there for a while. But even that is another delusion. It's not true that there's something especially wrong with you, but it is true that you'll never get this. So we're here to look at what is this me, and to see that it's just a thought. To explore also physically, emotionally, the sensations that come up, that are felt and experienced when we believe in that separate me, that contracted me. Not to try to get rid of any of it. I'm not here to help you fix any of it. It's totally welcome to be here, but just to be consciously acknowledging it. To acknowledge that this me, this separate, well, it's not really a separate me, it's always that, but this contracted me is actually never me. It has never been who I am. It has never been my true identity. even when you believed that it has been. It has never been that. It's always just been a thought. It's always just been a story of me. And in acknowledging that that's all just been thought, there's nothing that replaces that. And that's what thought looks for. Okay, if I'm not in charge, then what is? I'm only going to let go of being in charge when I know that there's something else to take my place. But there is nothing. Because the nature of this awareness, another word for it is emptiness, nothingness. So there isn't an experience that changes with thought. You can't say, well, okay, I'm not this me, but I'm this beautiful sense of peace. No, because the experience of peace changes. You can't even say, okay, I'm not this me, but I'm love. The experience of love changes. Any of these beautiful words, when they're used to refer to an experience, it changes. So that's why I say that that's why it can be very sneaky on the spiritual path, because these beautiful experiences of peace and love, they change, they're not reliable. So in being left with nothing to hold on to, no me identity that you really can believe in, more and more this awareness, this nothingness, emptiness is acknowledged. You see that actually this is holding everything. Everything is being held in that emptiness. So thought will want to keep doing it for you. And that's not a problem, or there's nothing wrong with thought. It's just its nature to try to help. But thought can't do this. So it will try and it will fail. So that conscious acknowledgement happens by itself when we see the nature of thought. When we see more and more, this is just a thought, that's just a thought, that's just a thought, this is a me story, that's a sensation, that's an experience. In a way we're saying, it's not this, it's not that, it's not this, it's not that, it's not this. Not to get rid of or push away any of those things, but just to see that all of the play of experience and everything in it is not who you are. It's appearing in who you are. So who you are is that awareness, that seeing of it all. And that is not located inside a body. That awareness of it all is aware of this body. It's aware of the sensations, the feelings, the thoughts, the experiences. So I, as that awareness, I am aware of everything that is appearing in me. And this I isn't a new I that you don't know yet or something like that. It's the I that you have always been and always will be, because this I is timeless. Timeless, and it's unlocated. It has no quality, although we'll use words to apparently describe qualities during the time that we're here. And we'll talk more about that. It's not really that it has qualities, because it's not an experience. But when we use different words, we point to different aspects of the same thing. I won't go into that more now, but Essentially what I'm saying is that it's not any kind of experience. As I said last night, there's a lot of words, but don't feel like you have to understand all of the words or remember all of the words. I am sure I'll be repeating myself many times during these 10 days anyway. So if you didn't get what I've been saying now, don't worry. And you'll have plenty of time to also ask and question everything I've said. So if something doesn't resonate, you can bring it up here and ask for yourself. And if it does resonate but your mind is trying to get in the way, that's okay. Just let it resonate, even if you don't understand mentally.
No limitations, no control, nothing to get, nothing to hold, nothing to